Everyone, get a little closer.
Just stand behind the boys, sweetheart. This photo's for the business. Not really your thing anyway. For 12 years, Renee Ellison's mother-in-law introduced her the same way at every family event. This is Marcus's wife. She does something with computers, I think. A little hobby. Renee always let it go. She smiled, she nodded, and she never corrected her. Until the day a contract landed on her desk with her family's name on it, and Renee realized she was about to become the only person standing between Carter's kitchen and going under. Before we dive deeper, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. Renee was 41. 12 years earlier, she'd left a marketing job at a Cincinnati ad agency to freelance from home after her son was born, building what she called, modestly, a little branding practice. Her husband Marcus, 43, was the quiet middle son of the Carter family, who ran a beloved regional restaurant chain, 11 locations, 30 years, and a matriarch who ran it like a kingdom. Diane Carter, 68, had built Carter's Kitchen from a single diner into a small empire. She respected two things: hard work she could see, and family loyalty she controlled. Renee's work, done quietly from a home office, for clients Diane had never heard of, didn't register as either. At Carter's Kitchen's 25th anniversary gala, every family member who worked for the company got a name tag and a seat near the stage. Renee got a seat at table 11, near the kitchen doors, with the interns. At Sunday family meetings, where the Carters actually discussed real numbers, real strategy, Renee was politely asked to let the grown-ups talk business and pour coffee instead. When the company newsletter ran a feature on the family behind the food, it profiled Marcus's two brothers, their titles, their contributions. Renee wasn't mentioned. When she asked why, Diane laughed. "Oh, sweetheart," Diane said. "It's about people in the business. You just do your little thing from home." Renee smiled. She always smiled. But one night, driving home from another Sunday meeting she'd spent refilling coffee cups, she finally said something. "Marcus, does your family actually know what I do for work?" "They know you freelance," he said. "I don't freelance. I run an agency. I have 4 employees and clients in 9 states." "I know that," he said, surprised she'd even ask. "Does your mother know that?" His silence answered the question. 6 months later, Carter's Kitchen was turning 30, and struggling. 2 locations had quietly closed. The brand felt dated. Diane hired a photographer for a splashy anniversary announcement photo, meant to reassure loyal customers the company was thriving. Renee showed up in a tailored blazer, ready to be part of the family in the photo, for once. Diane's assistant, following instructions, gently moved her. "Diane just wants immediate family who work in the business up front," the assistant said. "If you want, you can stand just behind the boys?" Renee looked at Marcus. He said nothing. She stepped behind the boys. The photo was taken. Afterward, alone in the car, Renee finally said what she'd been swallowing for over a decade. 12 years, Marcus. Every Sunday, every event, every newsletter. I have let your family decide what I'm worth to this family for 12 years, and I did it because I didn't want to make it about me. Renee, I'm done standing behind the boys. What the Carters never asked, and Renee never volunteered, was that her little thing from home had grown into Meridian Collective, a boutique branding and turnaround agency with 4 full-time employees and a client roster that included 2 regional grocery chains and a hospital system. Renee had built it in the margins of nap times and school pickups, telling almost no one, because for years it had felt safer to be underestimated than to be watched. "I don't need them to know," she told her business partner Joe. "I need the work to speak for itself." "One day," Joe said, "it's going to speak really loud, Renee." Joe had no idea how soon that day would come. A week later, Joe dropped a folder on Renee's desk. "New referral came in from the bank's small business turnaround desk," Joe said. "Regional restaurant group. Needs a full rebrand or they're closing 3 more locations by spring. Confidential until signed, but take a look." Renee opened the folder, and there it was, in plain black text. Carter's Kitchen, LLC. She stared at her own family's name on a distress referral from her family's bank. "They don't know it's me," she said quietly. "Do you want to pass on it?" Joe asked. Renee thought about table 11. about the newsletter, about standing behind the boys in a photo meant to prove her family was thriving, while, in truth, they'd been quietly failing for over a year, with no idea that the person best equipped to save them was the one they'd never once asked to sit at the table. "No," Renee said. "Set the meeting." 1 week later, Diane and her 2 sons sat across a conference table from the Meridian Collective team. Renee walked in last, in the same tailored blazer from the photo shoot. Diane's face changed instantly. "Renee?" "Hi, Diane," Renee said, calm and professional. "I'm the founder of Meridian Collective. I understand you're looking for a rebrand partner." For a long moment, nobody spoke. "Mom," Marcus said quietly, "this is what I've been trying to tell you. This is what she does." Diane looked down at the deck on the table. Case studies, revenue numbers, client logos she recognized from the mall and the hospital downtown. Then she looked up at the daughter-in-law she'd sat at table 11 for a decade. "This is your company?" she asked, smaller than Renee had ever heard her. "This is my company." Diane's next words weren't an apology. They were something else entirely. "Can you save us?" "I can," Renee said, steady. "But I need you to hear something first. I'm not doing this because I need you to finally see me as family. I already know who I am. I'm doing this because Marcus's name is on that building too, and because 30 years of your work deserves better than closing quietly. But Diane, I will never again sit at table 11 in my own family." Renee didn't do it for free, and she didn't do it quietly. She structured the engagement the way she would for any client: full contract, full fee, full authority over the creative direction. For the first time in 12 years, Diane Carter had to ask Renee's opinion before making a decision about the family business, because this time, Renee held the leverage the family had never known she had. Within 4 months, 2 locations were saved. A third reopened under the new brand. Local news ran a story: how a third-generation restaurant chain found its second wind. The photo above the headline showed the whole Carter family, Diane, her sons, and Renee, front and center, not behind anyone. Weeks later, in Diane's kitchen, the 2 women finally talked, just the 2 of them. "I used to tell myself you never really tried to be part of this family," Diane said. "I tried for 12 years, Diane," Renee said. "You just never noticed, because you'd already decided what I was worth before I opened my mouth." "Why didn't you ever tell us what you'd built?" Diane asked quietly. "Because the first few times I tried, nobody asked a single follow-up question. After a while, I stopped offering." Diane didn't argue. For the first time, she just sat with it. "I confused being loud about your work with it mattering," she said. "I was wrong." "Yes," Renee said. "You were. Can we start over?" "We can," Renee said. "But this time, you ask first." At the next family gathering, Diane brought out the first dish herself and set it down in front of Renee. "I made your favorite," she said, a little awkward. "Marcus told me what it was. I realized I never knew." Renee smiled, soft. "Now you do." No one mentioned the contract. No one mentioned the 12 years. Because by then, Renee had learned something she'd tell her own daughter one day: being underestimated isn't proof you're small. Sometimes it's just proof no one has bothered to look yet. Renee never needed her mother-in-law's approval to know her own worth. She'd known it the whole time, quietly, in a home office no one thought to ask about. She just finally stopped waiting to be invited to prove it. If you believe hard work deserves to be seen, even when no one's watching, subscribe and stay with us for more stories about family, resilience, and quiet strength. And tell us in the comments, have you ever been underestimated by the people closest to you?